Welcome back to Dinar Community Channel. The global financial landscape has been shaken to its core as the long-anticipated revaluation of the Iraqi dinar IQD finally erupted into reality, sending shockwaves across markets, banking institutions, and financial hubs worldwide. What was once a speculative dream confined to discussion forums and private investor circles has now become a mainstream event dominating headlines, boardrooms, and even the conversations of ordinary households. The revaluation has not only altered the dynamics of international currency markets but has also triggered an unprecedented surge at exchange centers, where demand has reached full capacity and overflow crowds continue to press forward in hopes of securing their transactions. This moment, years in the making, has unfolded with an intensity that few could have predicted. Exchange centers across major financial districts are reporting scenes reminiscent of historic stock market frenzies, with lines stretching down streets, waiting rooms filled to bursting, and staff working around the clock. The shockwave from the IQD's revaluation has transcended economics, becoming a cultural phenomenon that is reshaping how nations, banks, and individuals view wealth, opportunity, and global interconnectivity. At the core of this upheaval lies the dramatic shift in the IQD's value. For decades, the currency languished under artificially suppressed exchange rates, tethered to geopolitical instability and economic recovery struggles. Investors who held faith in its eventual resurgence were often dismissed as dreamers clinging to unlikely hopes. Yet, with Iraq stabilizing economically, rebuilding infrastructure, and establishing strong international partnerships, the stage was set for a financial recalibration. The announcement of the revaluation, confirmed by international banking networks and supported by the Iraqi government, flipped the global narrative instantly. Overnight, what was once worth a fraction transformed into a powerhouse currency, carrying with it life-altering potential for those who had held dinar in reserve. Exchange centers, both private and publicly linked to global banks, became ground zero for this transformation. Reports from New York, London, Dubai, and Frankfurt describe identical scenes. Endless streams of dinar holders arriving with documentation, appointment confirmations, and in many cases, wheelbarrows of currency to be converted. Security has been ramped up to unprecedented levels, with armored vehicles escorting currency shipments, police guarding financial districts, and private firms reinforcing security perimeters around high-volume exchange centers. The sense of urgency is palpable. Every individual arriving knows that the revaluation represents not just a financial opportunity but a once-in-a-lifetime turning point. Inside these centers, the atmosphere is both electric and tense. Currency counters hum non-stop as clerks process stacks of dinar, authentication machines verify notes, and digital systems log exchanges at staggering rates. Employees describe the pace as relentless yet exhilarating, with some admitting they've never witnessed anything comparable in their entire careers. Supervisors coordinate operations like generals on a battlefield, adjusting schedules, bringing in reinforcements, and ensuring compliance with strict regulatory oversight. Global financial observers have noted that even the most well-prepared institutions underestimated the sheer scale of participation. The surge has not been limited to the elite or to major investors. Everyday people who quietly accumulated modest amounts of dinar over the years are now part of the historic wave. Stories abound of teachers, veterans, small business owners, and retirees standing shoulder to shoulder with corporate executives and high-net-worth individuals, all united by the same objective, converting their holdings at newly elevated rates. The revaluation has democratized wealth in an unprecedented fashion, collapsing traditional social and financial boundaries, at least temporarily, within the walls of exchange centers. This sudden inclusivity, however, has generated logistical challenges. Centers are now working with extended operating hours, many running 24 hours a day in shifts, yet still struggling to meet demand. Overflow waiting rooms have been established, complete with food, water, and temporary seating to accommodate those waiting for their turn. Some centers have even resorted to issuing digital queue numbers via mobile applications, mirroring systems used at large events and hospitals, in order to streamline the chaos. In certain financial hubs, city authorities have stepped in to manage traffic and ensure safety as crowds gather near exchange facilities. The ripple effects extend beyond the physical scenes of exchange. International markets are recalibrating rapidly in response to the dinar's newfound prominence. Currency trading desks are buzzing with activity, algorithms are being rewritten to account for new benchmarks, and hedge funds are scrambling to adjust portfolios. Oil markets, deeply intertwined with Iraq's economy, are witnessing volatility as traders attempt to anticipate how increased Iraqi purchasing power will influence energy exports and contracts. Central banks in neighboring regions are also bracing for potential aftershocks, with some announcing emergency policy meetings to mitigate unexpected impacts on their reserves. For the individuals directly involved, the experience is nothing short of transformative. Testimonials emerging from exchange centers reveal a spectrum of emotions: relief, disbelief, joy, and in many cases, tears of gratitude. One former soldier described the moment he held his exchange receipt as more surreal than receiving his deployment orders, noting that the financial security now afforded to his family was beyond anything he had dared to imagine. Another woman, a schoolteacher, explained how her modest purchase of dinar years ago, which she nearly forgot about, had suddenly empowered her to fund her children's education and retire comfortably. Yet, with great opportunity comes great caution. Financial experts are quick to remind new beneficiaries of the importance of responsible wealth management. Banks are offering financial literacy workshops alongside exchange services, warning against rash decisions, predatory schemes, or reckless spending. Wealth advisors emphasize the need to diversify holdings, establish trusts, and carefully plan for taxation and long-term sustainability. The shockwave may have opened doors, but only disciplined strategies will ensure those doors remain open for generations. Another critical component of the ongoing events is security, both physical and digital. The sheer volume of high-value exchanges makes centers and individuals prime targets for fraudsters, hackers, and opportunists. Governments have stepped in with heightened cyber protections, ensuring exchange data is encrypted and transactions are monitored in real time to prevent breaches. On the ground, armored escorts are common for large transactions, and some centers require clients to arrive by appointment only, with background checks cleared beforehand. While some see these precautions as burdensome, most participants welcome them as necessary safeguards during such a historic and volatile period. Internationally, governments are grappling with the broader implications of the revaluation. For Iraq, the revaluation is more than financial. It symbolizes a rebirth, a reintroduction to the global stage as a formidable economic player. For other nations, particularly those with existing financial strains, the event poses both opportunities and threats. Some economies are eager to partner with Iraq, leveraging its strengthened currency for trade agreements and infrastructure projects. Others, however, view the shift as destabilizing, threatening their own competitive positions within regional markets. Diplomats and financial ministers are already in talks, aiming to negotiate cooperative pathways that prevent the shockwave from triggering long-term instability. Media coverage has amplified the frenzy, broadcasting live footage of exchange center crowds, conducting interviews with newly enriched individuals, and hosting debates among economists and political analysts. Social media platforms are flooded with first-hand accounts, images of exchange receipts, and celebratory posts that have quickly gone viral. The collective narrative of ordinary people suddenly catapulted into financial security has resonated globally, fueling both admiration and envy. The hashtag IQD RV shockwave trends continuously, symbolizing the digital dimension of this historical turning point. Behind the scenes, financial historians are already labeling this moment as one of the most extraordinary monetary events of the 21st century. They draw parallels with previous currency resets, gold rushes, and economic booms, but most agree that the unique combination of global connectivity, digital communication, and widespread grassroots participation makes the IQD's revaluation unlike anything before. The scale, speed, and inclusivity of this transformation defy easy categorization, ensuring it will be studied for decades to come. Yet, as with all monumental events, questions linger. How long will exchange centers remain at full capacity before demand subsides? What will be the long-term economic effects once the initial surge of conversion stabilizes? Will Iraq be able to sustain and responsibly manage its newly elevated position, or will challenges arise that could destabilize progress? Analysts remain divided. Some predict a new era of prosperity and stability for Iraq, fueled by careful investment and international partnerships. Others warn of potential inflationary pressures, political jockeying, or exploitation by external powers seeking to capitalize on Iraq's newfound strength. For now, however, the undeniable reality is that exchange centers remain overwhelmed, operating at peak capacity as they facilitate the single greatest wealth transfer many have ever witnessed. Their lobbies hum with the energy of transformation, their staff work tirelessly under historic pressure, and their clients walk away forever changed. The IQD revaluation has ceased to be a speculative discussion and has firmly established itself as a tangible, global reality. The shockwave continues to ripple outward. Real estate markets in certain regions are already experiencing surges as newly enriched individuals purchase homes, land, and investment properties. Luxury goods markets are reporting spikes in demand for cars, watches, and travel packages, while philanthropic foundations note an increase in donations and charitable commitments from those who wish to give back. The broader economy, once cautious, is beginning to recognize the lasting implications of this sudden redistribution of wealth. As the days progress, the intensity of the moment may eventually ease, but the memory of this unprecedented shockwave will endure. For those who lived it, who stood in line at packed exchange centers, who held their breath as stacks of dinar transformed into verifiable fortunes, this was more than a financial transaction. It was the culmination of patience, belief, and resilience. It was the moment history shifted, not in boardrooms alone but in the lives of ordinary people worldwide. The Iraqi dinar's revaluation has created a living testament to the unpredictable power of global finance and the extraordinary potential that lies in the confluence of timing, perseverance, and international cooperation. Exchange centers at full capacity are the clearest visual representation of this truth, that when a long-awaited dream finally collides with reality, the result is nothing short of a shockwave felt in every corner of the globe. Like and subscribe for more videos.